G'day guys, Jamie here and welcome to our channel. Here at the Olde Creamery we run a small home business where we offer a farm stay AirBnB experience, and we also sell a small range of gourmet condiments which includes our very popular beetroot relish, citrus salt blend, and we're currently in the process of opening our very own Dahlia farm. So who are we? Well, as I said, I'm Jamie and I'm the one you'll see most during our time together. I'm in my late 30s, born and raised in Yorkshire, England, up, and for most of my career I worked in the justice system. I'm quite creative, and when I'm not plotting our next project in the garden, you'll hear me singing on a karaoke app somewhere. That sounds a bit like a dating profile listing, didn't it? Sorry guys and girls, I'm also happily married to Gareth. Gareth is definitely happy to be the one out of the limelight out of the two of us. However, he is an amazing cook, gardener, and carries out all of my ideas without too much complaining. Plus he's got a rather nice house. We're based in North East Victoria in Australia, and our property is a former dairy farm set on 3 acres. We have a range of animals on the farm, including our 3 border collies, our house cow, the divine Miss Moo Moo, our chooks, and the piggies, Boris and Miss Pigette. Since we purchased the property in 2016, we've been working towards making the farm profitable enough for us both to work from home. Currently we both work off the farm. I work at a dairy, and Gareth is a hospital chef. The idea for this channel is a space that people can come and watch, take us on a journey with you, be like a newsletter or a vlog. We'll cover the tops and the bottoms, naughty, the highs and the lows rather, of what's happening on the farm, some recipes on how to use our products, and of course the establishment of our Dahlia farm. I'll be posting information on how I grow my Dahlias throughout the year, so I can help others who may be new to growing them or looking to compare tips. I'm hoping that as the channel grows, we can visit other growers and some flower farms around here and get them on the channel with us too. I'm certainly not an expert in what I do, but as the great Hyacinth Bouquet would say, I'm simply a gifted amateur. Anyway, I'm rather determined and believe if you're going to do something in life, you just go all in. That includes my block a day chocolate habit. Like, come on, who can seriously just eat one roll and put the rest in the fridge? Anyway, basically my idea is to collate for you here all of my learnings from trials and many failings over my time growing, in the hope that I can help someone else wanting to grow dahlias, either on a large scale like we're trying to do, or just at home. So before we cue the titles, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that our property is based amongst, and to pay respect to the elders past, present and emerging. We also pay respects to our past family members, namely our both grandmas, who both inspired us to garden. I'd also like to pay our respect to the elders of our rainbow community. So without further ado, it's time to begin. We're counting in 5, 6, 7, 8. Jamie here, so I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour around the farm as it is now, and then show you what our plans are going to be moving forward with the Dahlias. So we'll go out on a bit of a tour and a walk around. If there's any plants you see that you want to know the name of or anything, please just drop it in the comments. I'm not a gardener by trade or history, so it all kind of happens by default, but Gareth knows a lot of the plants and knows the scientific names, so he likes to show people off with that. Bit of trivia for you, so these arches actually came from our old property, and me and Gareth got married under them. So as part of when we came here, I wanted to bring them with us. Don't know how long they were going to last, but they've done quite well. We've been here 8 years now, and they're still standing up strong. So this is kind of like our front entrance way, where in Australia everyone uses the back door, so unless we actually take people out here, no one actually really gets to see it apart from what you see coming up the driveway. On the right just here was my first ever Dahlia bed. As you can see, it probably wasn't ideal. They didn't thrive and they struggled due to being in so much shade. However, at the end of late autumn, early winter, so about now, I got flowers for the first time. And they survived, and obviously as I've learnt over the years, the Dahlias are no longer here. But because it's so shaded by these wonderful eucalyptus trees, as you can see, and this whole garden bed spends most of its time in the shade, we do need to go for those shade loving kind of plants here. So at the moment I'm trying, I want to say candulas, but they're not called candulas, they're called coleus. There we go. So our coleuses in there, you can just see they're all cuttings I've taken, so I'm just doing many cuttings as I can and eventually going to fill this up. They will self-seed, they probably won't be true to colour, but if they're happy and they're thriving there, let them be, is what I say. So coming up just in front of us, we have our fire pit area, so it's really good when you've got a nice starry night and we can have fires. So in Australia we have what's called the fire danger period, so they actually stop us from having any fires due to the heat and everything's so dry, and we get bushfires, etc. So our fire pit we kind of repurpose. Doesn't look how I wanted it to look. I want it to be full of colour and look really nice, but hey, it's in the shade and it doesn't get as much water as it probably should do because it's not on the automatic system, and I am a forgetful brat farmer. But we've got Tango, it's the red dahlia blooming here, as you can see, and we think we've just got the start of a bushfire. So thank you, Tammy, for that one. Tammy is a flower farm near me, and end of every season all of the tubers which fell off her propagation table go into a box, and I get them, and I randomly tag throughout the year and go, hopefully I've got something new and special. Most cases I end up with triples, fours and fives of things I've already got, but anyway, it's all good. So we've got some more dahlias over here. As I say, we're in end of I won't say in the spring, sorry, we're in autumn now, so we're getting towards the end of autumn, so for us that's the end of the dahlia season and most of the growing season for most things. So we're still getting about 22 degrees during the day, so about 71 Fahrenheit. As we go around, we've still got some of the natives, so these big trees were here originally when we moved in, and so was the wisteria, but apart from that, most of the garden beds we've since made. And as you can see over here, our gazebo area is less than 12 months old, and that has become the home of the dahlias. So there's about 120 varieties of dahlias here on the farm at the moment. It's always growing, as you can imagine. But this is predominantly where I put all of my ones which I wanted to see how they grew, height-wise, colour, etc. for their first year, and then I can work on when we put them into our show garden, which we're going to have as part of the farm, so that people can come through and see them in their type and how they grow. Our liquid amber, as you can see, autumn is definitely in the air. We're starting to get the colour change through in the leaves now. It won't be too long till we're looking quite fair. But this provides perfect shade for our hellebores. So we've just gone through and fertilised and cut all of their old flower heads and leaves off from last year. So here we've got one of our angel trumpets, so it's currently in full flower. It hasn't done as well this year. We had a mild winter and we didn't cut it back, so we just let them grow naturally. And they're not as dense as they usually are, but they're flowering really, really well. As you can see, our towering clumping bamboo, so make sure you always get clumping bamboo, is way bigger than the house, as you can see the house line in the back there. And that creates some awesome shade for us, for our shade loving plants which live in this little area. And there we have Whisper, one of our border collies. Yes, we're talking about you. Over here we've got our water feature. So this tree fell down on the day of settlement, and we were like, what the hell do we do with a tree? So we chopped all the top bit off and used that for firewood, and then we created a little fish pond, which shows it's a happy garden because the amount of frogs we've got. You can hear a cricket, I think, in the background, and as well as our own goldfish, which help with our mosquito control. And you can see here, so this angel's trumpet did get frosted, so when it's come back it's a lot more healthier and dense. Plus it is growing on the side of a dahlia patch, and as anyone knows who grows dahlias, we do feed them rather well, so everything else seems to benefit from that as well. As I said before, it's the end of the dahlia season patch, so don't look too closely. They are all starting to fall apart and droop the heads, and I'm not maintaining them in any way now. I've cut the water down, I'm not feeding, and I'm leaving the open centres so the bees can come in and do their magic, and hopefully we'll get some nice seed heads. The bees were all around before, but this is one of my favourite cactuses this year. So this was a wedlock, and it seems to be a bit of a showstopper when people come and have a look. And over here we've got my other favourite of the year. Like, how can you have favourites in dahlias? Because it changes every day, but I am quite taken by Henry Matisse. So this has been named after the famous artist. And just look at the different colours and shades in there. But I do think my all-time favourite for this year has to be cornflake, and I think cornflake is going to be the next big bloom if it isn't already. I mean, everyone's heard of cafe au lait, you know, and cafe au lait is nice, but I just don't think you can beat cornflake at the minute. Just look, colours. I can't say I've got one at the moment, but at this time of year they seem to lose the white. Here we go, and they just get this really all yellowy cornflake look. I think it's just stunning. See, the harlequin bugs have moved in, so again another reason why we want our guinea fowl out in the garden, so that they can tidy that up for us. Let's get more angel's trumpets or Brunsviggers. So we have the yellow and the double white here. I mean, they're just amazing when you come home and you've got to walk down this pathway, because this leads back to our the back door. So this is kind of the main entrance anyone uses. So in the middle of summer when we hit like 40 degrees, so I'm guessing that's like 140 Fahrenheit. It's a nice shade little area, and amazing how it just cools down as you're walking through. Okay, so we've got Miss Fanta here, who's looking very tired and worn out. She's been at the dairy farm this morning, you know, doing all of the things that a young 12 and 4 border collie should do. Good job it's on camera, because she's not smelling the best either, but she's had a good morning. So here we have our extra dahlias. So this is one of my favourite dahlias for cut flower at the moment. There is one called Orange and Lemons, but I think this could be a close new name for. We've got to find a name. So this was bred under the Fraserator, and as we know, like it is a blown centre. It's not going to make any awards, and probably should be culled. But I just love the texture and the colours, like the colours changing on the back. And for a cut flower, people seem to really like it, so it might keep cut. So we'll head over to what I call the working side of the farm. So excuse the mess, it's a work in progress every day farm. Even a hobby farm, there's always jobs to be done. We've got Miss Pigette over here. I think she's just been wallowing in her mud. There's nothing so happy as a pig in mud. And then we have her. This is going to be our new area. So at the moment we're trying to get rid of an old tree which fell down, but good to think in the future. So hopefully by spring this will have about 500 dahlias in there. Rows going north to south. We'll have our new polytunnel going in the back corner to help with our propagation. And then we've got the old dairy. So the old dairy, hence the name the Olde Creamery. So originally this was a full working dairy farm. So there's a lot of history has probably gone inside there, and I can imagine a lot of husbands and wives yelling at each other, because that's what farmers tend to do, especially in dairies. It's a lot quieter now, but we still have it set up so we can still milk our cow, Miss Moo Moo. So when she's currently down in the paddock with her 2 cows, and when they're weaned, she'll come home and give us some good fresh milk every day. So I'll have a quick browse in here and show you around and what our plans are going to be. So this is going to be my new propagation area. So it's going to have lots of the airflow from the windows. We're going to replace some of the roof with some, not perlite, you idiot, Perpex. I've stopped editing these videos, you're just going to get what comes to my mouth. I think that's part of the fun. But anyway, it's going to have that clear plastic, so it'll let some of the sunlight in, and we're going to probably put some plastic sheeting up to help keep the humidity up as well. Automatic misters, and heated beds as well, so we can control what's happening between waking the tubers up, when I'm taking my cuttings, and obviously hardening them off before they head out into where we've just been before, where the polytunnel is. I started collecting my crates. I'm probably going to need a few hundred more of them, but that's where all my dahlias will be stored in. They may not stay where they are, they're probably going to the shades to out the weather a bit more, but I like having all the slats because it gives really good airflow through the tubers to help fight off mold, etc. As you can see, it's still a bit of a working dairy, and I don't know when this was, but this is all the cow numbers. It's a bit of history in here. And then you have a look, and they've put the bulling, dates the whole part, and unfortunately when they've lost one, but if you look at all of them, they only lost one. I think it's a pretty good season. I'd love to know what year that was on. I'm going to try and find out sometime. I think it should be preserved as part of the scoop. Anyway, we'll walk out here, and here we have one of my trial beds. So These are all cuttings I took early in, or this was taken earlier in the year, so you can see they've all been flowering and they're just getting to the end. And of course Whisper has to come in the thing and have a sniff around. Don't break them even more. And these are cuttings which were taken probably at the very end of summer. And as you just see, there is a few flower heads starting, but that was more again a test just to see, I guess, time frames on how long I could take cuttings in the year and still get a viable tuber for winter. Because this year's pretty much been trial and error in everything. It's like, that's the whole point of gardening. Trial, error. It costs you nothing but a bit of compost and some time, does it? But as you'll see if you look closely, I've actually got all of these still in their pots. So that was an idea I got from one of the videos I was watching. But all of their cuttings, they put them in pots. So eventually all I'm going to get is a pot tuber. But when I lift them out of the ground, because they can be quite fragile, they're going to be protected. But because they're in the ground in their pots, they can still get their roots all into that subsoil and get all the nutrients. And they do seem to do quite well like that. So we'll head into the vat room. Which is, like, some guys have man caves. I don't know if you call it a man cave, but it's where I live. Just because I watch ahead. These are Gareth's gourds he likes to grow. If there's anything unusual and strange, Gareth will have it. I don't know what it says about me personally, but anyway. And do mind my collection of flies. As you can imagine, this time of year we get lots of flies on a dairy farm, and I've been spraying. And it's amazing how often I clean this, and they just come in here. They're coming in here obviously for the warmth and when it gets cold at night, and because of all my little stuff going on in here. So it's kind of like my little murder cave, for a better word. So here we've got my propagation set up at the moment. So I don't know how many I've got in here, but probably 100 and 200 seedlings. And the different stages, different trials. And what I found for my growing environment is the perlite and sand mix gets way too dry. So as you can see, I'm not going to have much good success in here. But again, as I say, it's trial and error. And at the end of the day, these cost me nothing, did they? And all of these plants at this time of year would have ended up in the compost bin. So, whereas my other ones in the try, careful, are doing a hell of a lot better. And if you can just look down there, you can start to see I've got a root shooting out. So I need to go through these and replant them. So personally, as soon as I see a root, that is good enough for me, and I get them planted on and potted on. So pretty much my routine is that they'll start off here and end up down here under this grow light. So there's not many there at the moment. And then after a couple of days, I move them into my bigger greenhouse where they grow on. And I'm at the moment just recording lots of things and taking some notes about when I can push them to, I guess in terms of coming into winter, to still have them form enough tuber so I can overwinter that until spring, versus keeping the whole plant going over winter, which is more effort and work. Over here we have my turbo clone machine. So as a present I bought last year just to play with. For dahlias, there is a few dahlias in there. You can see they're not looking too bad. But even though it was bought for dahlias, I found so far that the dahlias really don't do that well in this system. Maybe with some more tweaking in terms of how long, because pretty much how it works is it's constantly spraying water 24/7, like a mist up underneath them all. So we'll see, but it works really well for my coleuses. So I'm like, well, at the end of the day, it can sit there and do its thing. The lights are all on the timer, so they're getting about 10 hours. And I'll do a video on taking cuttings and explain all this in more detail, so don't think I'm missing stuff out if you're really interested in knowing how I do my cuttings. And then all of the heat mats are sat on, all of the propagation trays are on heat mats, and they're all thermostatically controlled through here. So it's set to 20 degrees, as you know it's 23 degrees in here at the moment, so it's not doing anything, but it just ensures that they don't get below that point, which 20 degrees is your optimal temperature for rooting. And finally, just as I finished this bit of a tour review, pardon me, I just thought we'd go and I'd show you where all my cuttings are, which we've now pretty much taken at the end of the year. I think they're not going to get long enough in the ground to do them any good. So they're in my other trial area, which is the little greenhouse. If you sneak through here, it's another cutting which just flowered today, so I'm fairly sure this is going to be Helena. I'll have to go out and tag her today. And again, like, I mean, she is growing in the tiniest pot you can probably imagine. Get used to me digressing as I go around. You can see it down there. That's this little, probably yay big pot. And I can just see the bit of jiffy which she started in. So again, that's a trial. I mean, I do grow them, they grow really well in these jiffy pots, but I'm interested to know how the root will then form tubers, if they get constricted by this or not. So I've done some where I've removed the jiffy, which they tell you not to do by the manufacturers, but I'm interested to see. So again, trial and error. As we head through to the very overgrown veggie garden. Doesn't get much love at the moment. We've got my little greenhouse. Just sneaking here. Apart from the coleuses, you'll see all the dahlias which are growing in there in various stages. But they're all looking quite happy and healthy, and this is maintaining probably about 20-22 degrees throughout the day and a bit into the night. So I think it would be better to have a bit of supplement lighting in here. But if we're going to move everything over to the dairy and have all that proper professional setup, they can suck it up over here for a bit, and if they live, they live, and if they don't, they don't. But they're doing quite well. It amazes me, even something this small, and I'll come in and pinch it out, but look at those little flower buds. I'll do that while I'm here actually. And she can put all of her effort into putting those roots down and building that tuber rather than, believe me, when she's not supposed to be. Alright. Thanks for watching our video, guys. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and alert button if you want to stay tuned for what's coming up next. Have a great day.